container, okay, some white beans and some red beans. So I counted out 200 white beans. So when you're doing your exponential growth, you're going to get something under 200. But eventually, what will happen with exponential growth if it's in an ideal situation? How many beans will all become vampires?
All of them.
Good.
Average.
Okay. Another thing is, because this container has holes in it, whenever you're pouring your beans back into your original cup to shake them up, they might fall through the sides, so I would say carefully put them or sift them back into the cups, okay? So you got some white beans, some red beans, and a container. So let's extend our imaginations and suppose vampires exist. A vampire must bite another person in order to survive. Once a person is bitten, he or she becomes a vampire. You obtain a flat, shallow container, baggie of red beans and white beans. So what you're going to do is place one, now everybody do this with me, place one red bean in with the white beans.
Yeah. Ronnie.
Okay, one red bean in with the white bean. So what is that one red bean? A vampire, good. Now everybody look at the data table below. Everybody look at the data table. So, right now with 0 shakes, so you didn't even shake it up, you have one vampire. When we graph this, we need to think 0, 1. What are those coordinates? They stand for x and y coordinates. Okay, so quickly we're going to go over which is the independent variable and which is the dependent variable. So, right now, so if we had a data table, okay, we have number of shakes and then the number of vampires. So with 0 shakes, we have one vampire. Now, do y'all remember which one is the independent variable, which one is the dependent variable? So the independent variable is the thing that changes, and then the dependent variable is what happens because of the change. So the easiest thing is to say, well, what eventually happens because of the change?
Vampire.
You get vampires, good. So this is the number of vampires, okay? So your number of vampires, your dependent variable, is going to be on this axis. What is this axis? The
Y.
Y, good. So this is your number. You start off with 0. Highest you can get is 200. And then you're going to be doing how many shakes?
5.
1.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first thing you're going to graph is at 0 shakes. You're at 1 vampire. Okay? So here are your x and y coordinates. What I'm going to let y'all do now is perform the lab. Now, really quickly, go over the questions with me. So flip the page. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is going to describe any patterns in the data table. Then you're going to graph it, okay? In order to receive credit for the graph, you need to label your x-axes, y-axes, and I need to see some increments. So like what do these little boxes stand for? You're going to explain the patterns you see in the graph. Tell me what your independent, dependent variable is. It's up on the board. And then on the last page, you're going to tell me, is the curve continuous or discrete? What is the range? You're going to do some math there. Okay, so I'm going to let you get started with the lab. Then once everybody's done with the lab, I'm going to come around and see how you're doing with the questions. Okay? So everybody start shaking with that first shake.